Hey guys, it's Missy Wolf, and I'm here with Jerry Castle. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing great today. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Now, you have a really interesting, unique approach to your music right now, and I want to talk about that because, your fans know you from, when you're a former member of Toast, and you had your first 3 solo albums were more contemporary country. I want to hear about this new approach, and I don't want to say it to the fans. I want you to tell them where you got this idea and how you started creating your new music.
Yeah, well, I've essentially had been working on meditating and, in an attempt to chill out, try to take things a little more as they come. And I had heard on a podcast about the sensory deprivation float tank. And it just sounded like a really cool experience. And just, in the podcast, they talked about the fact that it was easier to go into the theta state in these float tanks. Mm-hmm. So I went, floated the first time, and for the people that don't know what it is, you have a pool of water, a small pool of water, like 2 feet. Mm-hmm. It has 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt in it. The water's heated to 98.6 degrees, so it's kind of hard to tell the difference in, that you're actually in water. And from where the Epsom salt is in it, you're completely buoyant, so you float. You can't sink. So the first time I went was a little bit on the unnerving side, the incessant chatter in my head, and then the second time I really felt like from the meditative perspective, I flipped into that theta state probably for the first time in my life. Right. And so I kept going back. I was working on a song at the time, and I kind of pulled that song up in my head after I had been meditating for, what seemed like 20 or 30 minutes. And it's kind of difficult to tell in the float tank. The perception of time changes pretty drastically. Okay. You can't tell 30 minutes from an hour and a half. So, I think it was around 30 minutes. I kind of pulled the song up in my head and worked through the melody, the B section of the song. Had been stuck on it. I solved it kind of instantly in this particular case. And, when I got out, I thought, wow, that was really cool. I want to do that some more. And so I really got into this regimen of going to float specifically to finish songs or to come up with song ideas. And, kind of the deeper I got into the process over this 2 to 3 month period, the more that the origination of the ideas came in the float tank. And it's just really, it's open to this whole other sense, these other senses that you have other than sight, seeing, or smell. And it's like, you really feel like you're dialed into something that's kind of beyond you.
Yeah, it sounds so incredibly interesting, and I've never heard anything like this before. I mean, I've heard the term sensory deprivation only because it's going to sound crazy, but in high school I had a friend who was in a band called Sensory Deprivation, but I never actually paid attention to all of that, and and I've never. I mean, this is the first I've ever even read about a float tank, and I was like, wow, this is really, really unique. And I don't know for myself if that's something that I don't know. I would probably be a little nervous and pretty scared about going into the first time because I don't like closed spaces. I don't like, that claustrophobic type feeling. But it sounds so cool and inviting at the same time that there's that whole other part of me that's like, oh, but that sounds really awesome. You need to go try it. So
yeah,
would you recommend this to other people?
Yeah, and it's just there's a surprisingly large amount of float tanks, particularly in metropolitan cities. If you look around, I know they're in Los Angeles, they're in Austin, they're in Nashville. I mean, they're I would venture to say they're in most cities now. And the option I would say, since you're a little on the claustrophobic side, is some facilities do have open tanks, and that's just like an open tub. And it is a little unnerving, but it's kind of like the cool. That's also part of the process of being alone with your thoughts and being completely still and having to learn to turn your brain off. Like, it's just beneficial in so many ways beyond just the creative aspect. You know, it's kind of like working through a puzzle. I was just talking to, as I said to you when I first called, I was in the studio and had one of my friends that floats also, and we were just talking about kind of how cool it is that you still, even after, I'd say I'm about a year and a half into floating, and you go back and sometimes, you know, it can still be unnerving, but, you know, the more I work through it, it's funny to me now. Like, I will come to a place that it's funny to me that I am unnerved, that I am scared, you know, and so I think it's just all part of the process. I would definitely, anybody that's going to do it, I would recommend submitting to at least 2 times, because the first time is a little on the like, you're just trying to get relaxed, and it's, and, you know, my first time, I just was not relaxed the entire time. And I came out and was like, oh my gosh, that was so unnerving. And I went back and listened to it. I originally heard about it on the Joe Rogan podcast, and I went back and, you know, went through listened to another podcast, and he had this guy named Duncan Trussell on it, and Duncan talked about how unnerving it was for him the first time, how miserable he was the first time, and how it had progressively got better. And I was like, well, all right, you know, it's a neat enough thing, you know, and the feeling of weightlessness is a really cool thing. So, yeah, I would definitely recommend checking it out.
Definitely. Well, and I have to tell you that, you know, when I first started, you know, getting to know who you were as an artist, I first started with your music. And so listening to the song, She Kills, and, you know, all of that, I'm like, you know, I actually had my son's therapist here and a good friend of mine, and we're listening to your music, and both of them said the exact same thing, that they felt like it was in another world, like they were kind of just floating along, and it was different. And I related it to, like, I remember as a kid watching the movie The Doors, and there was just certain scenes where the music is playing, and just the whole vibe was just, it took you to a different place. And so we were all talking about that. And then when I started reading, I was like, oh my gosh. And then, you know, we start talking about the float tanks, and they were laughing. They're like, yes, exactly. That's what it's like.
That's why it's floating along. Yeah. I actually continued to implement that like I was floating during the writing process. And then once we went into the studio, which was about a 7-month process, start to finish, I would go in between sessions and go float to work through like production ideas also. And, you know, I don't know that I necessarily went, hey, I want this to feel like you're floating. But that's what, in working through the puzzle of the songs and through the production of the songs, that's certainly what it turned out to be like.
Absolutely. Well, and I mean, I think it's great because it's definitely, you know, unique. It's your own style. It's different. People love different. People love, you know, not everybody loves change. I will admit that because, you know, there's a lot of change in country music these days, and you get a lot of people who are just very, very specific about what they like and what they don't like, and they're very critical of the newer stuff. And, you know, I mean, change is inevitable, and the world is always going to be changing, and there's always going to be improvements. And, you know, I think it's important for us, you know, I mean, because that's where growth comes in, you know, is with change. So I think this is really cool. And I love that you're doing something more unconventional, right? I mean, I had never heard of a floating tank or float tank. I had no clue what these things were. So I think it's really interesting, and I love the work that's coming out. But I want to know about the video for She Kills, because I felt many different things while watching that video, and the girl who was skating in the skating rink, man, she makes you feel what she's feeling in that video. It's a pretty intense video, and I want to know who came up with that idea.
Most of the videos, in this particular case, that was my idea. Just the entire idea of, first of all, the song's a little more literal than what most people would actually think. I mean, I actually did know a girl that a lot of that story kind of fit to, and, you know, and it seemed like she just kept going in the same circle, doing the same stuff, and, you know, taking prescription drugs for her depression, and, you know, she had some unfortunate things in her life that had happened, and she just never could get out of this circle of things, and she wasn't capable of feeling or connecting, it seemed like, with anyone, no matter, you know, how hard she tried. So that's where where the going round and round in circles, getting the same result thing kind of came from. It was like, how can we accomplish that? What's on a skating ring? And so that's where it came from. That's where the idea came from. And obviously I don't know if you picked up on it, but shot a lot of the footage in Northern California, in San Francisco, down in the Haight-Ashbury area, and Carmel by the Sea. So, that's kind of where it came from. And it was a moody song, so I wanted the video to try to capture that moodiness.
It definitely did. So good job, because as she's skating around and she just had that blank look on her face, I was like, wow, talk about disconnect right there. Like the buried pain, the no emotion on the face. It was painful to watch, but it was also just like, wow, you captured so much of what so many people go through. And I mean, I know several people who are, fitting of that description, and it's sad, and you just watch them and, you want to reach out and rescue, and it's hard. It's hard. I mean, I've seen several people, go down that road, and it's like you do what you can, but I mean, unless they step out and do something for themselves, it's going to be what it is, and it is very painful to watch. So seeing that in the video, it brought very real feelings from things I've witnessed, from things I know friends have witnessed. So
yeah, you hit the nail on the head there with that at the end of the day, if you feel that way, a whole lot of it comes down to yourself and yourself stepping outside of it and trying to fight the fight and trying to find different ways to feel better or get better. And if you're doing the exact same thing, then you're just going to keep having the exact same result.
Absolutely. And it's one thing to know it yourself and to see that, but then to try to help someone else see that sometimes is probably one of the most difficult challenges I think that we will face, in life is, you
heartbreaking,
can't. Yeah, it is. It's so heartbreaking because you want to be able to fix that for people and you just can't. And it's got to come from within, to a certain extent. And, it's just really sad and unfortunate that some people just don't have that. So, but good job on the video. I think you nailed the message of the song perfectly with it. And I love when I can, watch videos and really connect them to the lyrics of a song, because you can't do that in every video. And some people will sing a really sad song with deep, dark lyrics with a smile on their face, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's one of my biggest pet peeves, even at a live show. Like, you cannot sing this sad song and still be smiling. Like, it just doesn't work for me. So
right, I can't feel it the same way. Yeah, I mean, the video media is a very. I mean, I've over the last couple of years, I usually do one video per record, and then this record, it's really I think from the moodiness of the album, it's like it gives you another way to try to get those lyrics across. And the video girl that I worked with, Stacey Huckabee, she really dials into the vision of, when I tell her what I'm kind of going for and what I'm looking for, she gets it on it. It's just neat to, further expand upon the song.
Right. And your title for your album, by the way, is perfect. I love it. Not So Soft Landing.
Thank you.
I think that is absolutely amazing. And I'm like, you know what? It's so true, though. I mean, look at everybody's life. We all have those moments, too, where, oh, that was pretty harsh, or that wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. And it just, so for me, well, I relate to it anyways. I can't speak for everybody, but I definitely related just to the album title alone, and I loved it. I thought it was great.
Thank you.
How did you come up with that title? I know it's probably one of the questions you get asked the most, but I have to know.
Well, the thing about the record is, obviously, it's kind of a spacier type of record. And as you've noticed, there's several characters in the record that are kind of broken type of characters. And so a soft landing on the moon obviously equals that it was successful landing. So the not so soft landing came from that. Well, you're on the moon, but I don't know how safe or how easy safe it was. So
right.
that's kind of where it came from.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. I love getting to know the intimate details of what goes into an album or a song, or all of that good stuff. And man, you are just full of creativity, which is really nice to hear and to see.
Thank you very much.
No, you're welcome. Thank you. I mean, your fans thank you too. And I'm really interested to know. I know that music has always basically been in your life, but there was a point where I think you were a financial advisor, and then you also worked radio promotion for Taylor Swift. Those are two totally different ends of the working spectrum there. What were those experiences like for you? And are you happier now just doing music versus those two?
Yeah. I mean, I have kids. So, with at a certain point in my life, it came to the place of, you have to, regardless of your art, you still have to provide. Or for me, you still have to provide for your family, and there's certain things that they need. And, the radio promotion thing was really just something that kind of fell in my lap. And the things that I learned from working beside Taylor is that, she had this, I think she was 17 at the time that I was working with her, and she just had this ability to, no matter what was going on in her personal life or inside the car while we were traveling, or, how good of a day or how bad of a day, when she got in front of her fans and when she got, in front of radio stations, like, she was able to flip this switch of, and, I'm sure you've seen it before, of just, extreme gratitude. And, it was just, she was better at that than any adult that I had ever known. And I just, I thought that was really neat. So in that regard, I liked it. In the regard of seeing the country music machine and how it, how it actually works and everything that's involved, it really kind of ruined music for me, and I eventually wrote myself into getting writer's block during that period. So,
right.
Pros and cons, but I think it's like that with anything in life, and financial advisor thing, it's the same thing. I mean, I literally, I went to, had a business degree in college, and hadn't, really worked in the actual workforce, forgotten forever, and I Googled highest paying job with a bachelor's degree, and that was one of them that came up. And the money side of things for me really has been all about two things: one, about my family, and two, in the landscape of how music exists now. Like, it takes money in order to be able to create your art and to be able to do things. The GoFundMe's, those are great. But you're just at the mercy of your fans, which, I mean, there's pros and cons to that as well.
Exactly.
So it was really just both were kind of a means to an end of sort, and what I kind of needed to be doing at that time.
Wow. Well, I think it's pretty awesome that you've had those experiences, and I think it gives you a great story. I mean, all we take with us in the end of the story, and it seems like you've lived a pretty great one so far. And, I know you're just going to go even further than ever expected, which is really cool. And you have a lot of shows coming up, which is really neat as well. So, is there anything that we haven't covered that you want to tell the fans? Because I know I sort of get selfish with my conversations with people because I ask the things that I personally want to know. But I want to make sure that we're getting all the information that you want to get out to fans as well.
Yeah, nothing in particular. I mean, obviously it takes a lot of people behind the scenes in the making of this record. Like I said, I recorded for a 7-month period, not every day, but I had the luxury of recording and just not really forcing things. And there were so many people that were involved. Once, it was funny how, like, with the creation of this particular project, I knew that I was kind of onto something not necessarily better than I had done before, but different than what I'd done before, because it was attracting these other people that I had never worked with that were so selflessly giving themselves. So, without all of those people, the project never would have been what it is right now. Not that it's some sort of, good or bad thing. I'm just saying it wouldn't have existed without all of them.
Right. Well, man, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. And
it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, no problem. And fans will be able to connect with you on social media. We're going to post everything, all of your links, so that they can follow you. And just anything you have in the future that you have coming out that you want fans to know about, let us know. We can blast it out. And for LA fans, because I had to look at your LA date, you're going to be out here in LA on August 21st playing at the Mint. So
yep, exactly.
So hopefully we'll get to see you for that one. I'm not sure if I'll still be in town. I should be. I'm not positive, but if I'm still here, man, I'd love to catch you.
Just stay in town for that show.
Yeah, right, exactly, exactly.
Put the rest of your life on hold just for that one show.
Just for that one show. You got it. Center Stage will definitely try to be there. If it's not me, I'm going to try to have some of our other people come out there and cover that, because it's such an interesting. I just love I love how interesting your music is, and I think at a live show, I don't know, I'm so curious to see all the fans and their reaction and everything, and I want to see how everybody just gets into that groove. I know it's going to be just amazing to see, and I want to be there. But
thank you. I hope you can make it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, stay in touch. You need anything, let us know, and have a great rest of your day.
Sounds good. You do the same.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.